Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jeevanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaadatam Bhuvi Grunantye Bhurida Janaha. Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita Pratham Bhag Chaturtha Khando Pancham Parichhed, and we start the fifth chapter of this fourth section of the first volume of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in Bengali. And this is the meeting with Vijay Krishna Goswami and other close devotees like Balram Basu, Sri M, and a few other Brahmo devotees. This is on the 14th of December, the Thursday. It is continuing. This is the day when there is not rush, no major rush, no major visitors, because it is a working day. So these people who are very close to Sri Ramakrishna, who are very in the real sense, they want to get his teachings. So on a working day they have come, so that there is no rush, there is no crowd, only these few devotees and Sri Ramakrishna. It is one-to-one talk. It is a total dedicated time for Sri Ramakrishna, and that's how they have come. And during the talk, now it has come up that Vijay Krishna Goswami has indicated, his current state of affairs, that since he has taken a salaried job at the Brahmo Samaj of being a preacher, he is not able to come. And uh, in the course of that talk, several other topics came up, and Sri Ramakrishna has addressed from first till fourth chapters of how how one becomes a slave, gets into the position of being a slave to one's work, of working for a master for the sake of lust and greed. And finally, in the previous chapter, that when Sri M had asked him a question, that if lust is the reason for all this, downfall of a person, so-called downfall of a person, because then a person can never focus on what he really wants. Now, what a person really wants, he really wants to spend time for the God. But that doesn't happen when you take up a service, when you take up a job. Then you have to work for somebody. Then you can't get time as much as you want to spend on the spiritual matters. And Sri Ramakrishna indicated that this is mainly because of lust and greed. And then Sri M has asked him a question, that does it mean that we should start hating women? If lust is the reason, and Sri Ramakrishna says, no, that is not the thing. He says that first have God realization, then be in the world, and then this temptation of lust can never be of any danger to you. You don't have to fear about lust then, because then you don't look at woman as woman. You look at woman as the manifestation of Divine Mother, and then there is no attachment, there is no attraction from the perspective of lust. It is only then reverence. Then you will start worshipping women folk. Once you have understood that a woman is the manifestation of God. And then Sri Ramakrishna, towards the end of the fourth chapter, he had told Vijay that keep coming, keep coming. Tumi maje maje ashbe. Keep coming now and then. তোমাকে দেখতে বড় ইচ্ছা করে. I love to see you. I love to meet you. I love to spend time with you. So much I wish to spend time with you. So that is where we had ended the fourth chapter. And now in the fifth chapter, Vijay starts the conversation saying he is addressing, in fact, he is replying to Sri Ramakrishna's comment at the end of the fourth chapter. So Vijay says, ব্রাহ্ম সমাজের কাজ করতে হয়ে তাই সদা সর্বদা আসতে পারি না, সুবিধা হলে আসবো। Hmm. Vijay Krishna Goswami says, since now I am a paid servant, a paid employee of the Brahmo Samaj, I can't come as and when I feel like coming. Hmm? That I can't come whenever I wish like. Hmm. সুবিধা হলে আসবো. So whenever it is convenient, whenever it is possible, I will definitely keep coming. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, starts talking about his role in the work that he is doing at Brahmo Samaj. Now he is a salaried preacher. Sri Ramakrishna now addresses on that particular point, that Sri Ramakrishna বিজয়ের প্রতি, দেখো আচার্যর কাজ বড় কঠিন, ঈশ্বরের সাক্ষাৎ আদেশ ব্যতিরেকে লোক শিক্ষা দেওয়া যায় না. Sri Ramakrishna says, look, my dear, the task of being a religious teacher, a religious preacher, is not easy. It is extremely difficult. Why it is extremely difficult? Because you can't teach people ঈশ্বরের সাক্ষাৎ আদেশ ব্যতিরেকে, unless you receive command. Without the direct command from the God, you cannot teach people. It is extremely difficult to teach people without receiving command from the God, without receiving a direct order from the God that yes, now you start preaching, now you start teaching. যদি আদেশ না পেয়ে উপদেশ দাও, লোকে শুনবে না. Sri Ramakrishna says, if without receiving command you start teaching the people on the spiritual matters, on the religious front, nobody will listen to it. It will just enter here, it will come out here, nothing will remain inside, because people won't pay attention. সে উপদেশের কোন শক্তি নয়, there is no power in that teaching which you give without receiving the command from the God. আগে সাধন করে বা যে কোন রূপে হোক ঈশ্বর লাভ করতে হয়. Before starting your preaching, somehow by way of austerities or by any other means, first you realize the God. Come what may, you first realize the God, and তার আদেশ পেয়ে লেকচার দিতে হবে, তার আদেশ পেয়ে লেকচার দিতে হয়. Only when once you receive his command, command of the God, command of the Divine Mother, only then one can teach. And then Sri Ramakrishna once again gives the same example that he had given earlier about the Haldar Pukur, how people were making that bank of the pond Haldar Pukur so dirty. So Sri Ramakrishna is once again, you see, the thing is, one has to emphasize, one has to reiterate the teaching, and unless and until the content really enters the student's brain, it won't have any impact, it won't have any effect. So, like the blacksmith, he keeps on hammering the pot, that iron pot that he's going to fabricate. He keeps on hammering with the hammer till it gets a smooth polish, till it gets a desired shape. Likewise, Sri Ramakrishna again and again keeps on hammering maybe the same examples to make you understand the importance of that teaching. And Sri Ramakrishna now once again gives that same talks about that same happening earlier, during his stay at Kamarpukur. Hmm. ও দেশে একটি পুকুর আছে, নাম হালদার পুকুর. Sri Ramakrishna says, in my village, in that village, O Deshe, in that village, in my village, there is one pond. Name of that pond is Haldar Pukur. তার পাড়ে রোজ লোক বাজ্যে করে রাখতো. On the bank of that pond, people used to come and defecate every morning and create all the filth on the bank of that pond. সকালে যারা ঘাটে আসতো তারা তাদের গালাগালি দিয়ে খুব গোলমাল করতো. And everyday people, when people, other people used to come to the bank in the morning, come to the pond, seeing all that dirt and filth, there used to be a lot of fight, verbal fight and galagali. They used to abuse. Oh, who are all these people doing this and making the bank of the pond so dirty? We can't even walk properly. We can't fetch water for drinking from this pond. We can't fetch water for cleaning our utensils. They have made everything so dirty. Everyday people, I mean, there used to be shouting and there used to be abusing with foul language and overall great fuss every day morning. গালাগালি কোন কাজ হতো না. And with that nuisance, I mean, there was no end to it. আবার তারপর দিন পাড়েতেই বাজে again next day the same thing. They will shout full day, they will keep on abusing and shouting, but to no effect. Next morning, again the same thing. People used to go and defecate on that bank and make the place dirty and filthy. So there was no end to it. Then finally, what happened? শেষে, ultimately, কোম্পানির চপরাশি এসে নোটিশ টাঙ্গিয়ে দিলে যে এখানে কেউ ওরূপ কাজ করতে পারবে না, যদি করে শাস্তি হবে. And finally what happened? People, you see, every day there were fights, but there was no end to it. I mean, there was no benefit out of it. Nobody stopped defecating at the bank of Haldar Pukur. It went on day in and day out. Finally, people made a complaint to the company, the East India Company, which was ruling the Calcutta province that time. They made and submitted a complaint to the officer at East India Company. Then শেষে finally what happened? কোম্পানির চপরাশি এসে নোটিশ টাঙ্গিয়ে দিলে. Then a peon, a representative of the East India Company, he came and he affixed a notice at the pond. What was that notice? এখানে কেউ ওরূপ কাজ করতে পারবে না. He said, that notice said, stop defiling the bank, stop making the filth, defecating on the bank of this pond. যদি করে শাস্তি হবে. If anybody defiles the bank, it makes the place filthy and dirty, suitable action will be taken against that person. And এই নোটিশের পর আর কেউ পাড়ে বাহ্য করতে না, আর কেউ পাড়ে বাহ্য করতে না. And after that notice was put, because that was a command from the company, command from East India Company, nobody will defecate here, nobody will defile the place, nobody will make this place dirty and filthy. If anyone does, suitable action will be taken. And from that instance, hmm, people stopped defecating on the bank of Haldar Pukur. That was the effect of the order, the command from East India Company. And therefore Sri Ramakrishna says likewise. One should have command from God to teach. Otherwise that teaching without command from God has no value. It has no power. That people will never listen to it. And so Sri Ramakrishna, for all the teachers, he had this request. He has this teaching that first attain to God. First get a command from him. First you yourself realize what is the ultimate truth. And then you start teaching people. Only then that teaching will have some effect. Only then people will listen to you at least. Now, see the power and strength in Sri Ramakrishna's teachings. This teaching he has given on 18th December 1882. M had jotted a note of it, and then M brought it out in the form of Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. And then finally we read this teaching in the Pratham Bhag, Chaturtha Khanda, Pancham Pariched, and now it will enter our mind. Now we can actually learn from this teaching because Sri Ramakrishna had realized the God. And why only realize? Sri Ramakrishna was God incarnate. So it is the God's word. So in spite of all, more than a century over, hmm, the teaching has still got that relevance. The teaching is still so very live that again and again we love to hear that teaching. We love to hear the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. Again and again, we love to read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We love to read Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. That is the power, that is the strength one's teachings get when one start teaching after realizing God. So that is for now from this fifth chapter, the starting. We will continue the fifth chapter, reading from the fifth chapter in our next reading. As of now, Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Thakur, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji.